Yes, sir. What is up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Bonus Blood here on Blood Splatter Chatter on a Sunday for another double feature. This time, doing another couple 2024 movies, which should be the plan for every Sunday you see us throughout the rest of the year. That's what we're going to be doing, trying to catch up on all the 2024 releases. But we're doing Black Cab, which just dropped on Shudder, and we are doing I Saw the TV Glow, which came out, I think, in like April or May in the spring of 2024. So yeah, that's on Max. You can see I Saw the TV Glow on Max, and again, Black Cab on Shudder. So what up, my brother, Missing Link?
Yo. Let me apologize to the viewers. Secondly, I gave you a bone backstage, but sorry guys, we're late. I spilled my coffee right before the show, just being careless, and it was like a rushing around trying to clean up last minute. But yeah, I apologize for being late. But I'm happy to be here. Happy to cover these movies. Both interesting ones. One a little bit more interesting than the
Yeah,
other.
yeah.
But I'm glad I watched these.
I'll put it like this, and we'll do Black Cab first, and we'll do I Saw the TV Glow second.
Okay.
This is like the least prepared I've ever felt for doing a fucking podcast in my life, almost, because, and we'll go deeper into both these obviously, but Black Cab, I think, is maybe not that it was like terrible, but it's one of the least worthy movies that we've ever probably reviewed. Like,
Yes.
you know what I mean? If I would have watched it before, it was like, fuck it, it's out. Let's do it this weekend. And then I watched it. I'm like, like, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's pretty hollow and it's pretty like super. I would never recommend it to anybody.
Yeah.
Right. And then I Saw the TV Glow. I'll put it like this. It is, I thought this while watching it, and then I've heard people say this. It's like the Donnie Darko of Gen Z, and I've only watched it once. So imagine trying to break down Donnie Darko after one viewing, and it's you know what I mean. It's so confusing, so like about symbolism and metaphors and all that. And I'm like,
That's the Donnie Darko for Gen Z. I didn't even look at it, but now that you said it, I see a lot of like parallels and like those are definitely movies where it's like you watch it the first time. For me, especially with Donnie Darko, I remember seeing that for the first time when I was like 13, 14, and I was like, "What the shit?"
right.
Like,
but highly entertaining.
yes,
Right. So
very.
it's very, yeah. And I don't know. When we get into the review, that's the part we'll kind of dig into. And spoiler alert, I didn't find it super entertaining, but I respect the hell out of the movie. So
I didn't.
that'll be fun to get into. But like I said, you know me, even like any movie, like if we were doing Scary Movie, I'd probably want to watch it twice before the review. Like I like to dig deep into a movie, and to go into that review only watching it once, I feel naked. I feel fucking I feel naked. But let's do Black Cab first. Again, that's on Shudder. And I'll just start out by saying would not recommend. But the main reason why I was interested in it, what's his name? Not Jack. Nick Frost. I almost said Jack Frost. It's like, no way. Nick Frost, which if you don't know, that is the dude from Shaun of the Dead. He's the fat, lovable fella from Shaun of the Dead. And I do think he's really good in it. And basically, he's a cab driver. And spoiler alert for this movie. He's a cab driver, and he picks up this woman. This woman, we don't know if she's pregnant or if she lost her baby, and yada yada yada. She's seeing fucking ghosts, and we turn out there's this ghost that what's his name? Nick Frost.
Oh, Jack Frost. Yeah, Nick Frost. Yeah. Shit. Nick Frost.
There's this ghost that Nick Frost made a deal with, where he lost his kid and he's going to make this trade where he's bringing this ghost, this pregnant woman, and they're going to make this swap. You take her baby and you give me back my child. And that's basically what it boils down to. But it starts out like it's just this kidnapping. Oh my God, I've been abducted and thrown into a back of a cab. But it was like for the first 20 minutes, I'm like, yeah, okay, fuck it. This is pretty cool. And then I just could give less and less and less of a shit as it went. But there were a couple jump scares that got me. I will give the movie that. Like it did get me a couple times with that fucking ghost. But what'd you think?
No, yeah, I'm right there with you. Like this is a movie just like background noise and just to like watch, I feel like if you're a fan of Nick Frost, definitely check it out. He's always given solid performances.
He's even the best part of the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Main actress is decent, for what she has to work with, but it's just like don't like, I don't know what if this was supposed to be more of a ghost story, but because
Yeah.
if it was, it doesn't really work like that, you know.
Hmm.
But as a like suspense kidnapper thriller and it's a little horror thriller, it kind of, it was kind of cool,
Yeah.
until, but it just got very like, I'm not gonna lie, I think I was more confused by this ending than I
Yeah.
was with Hello, to be
Yeah.
completely honest. Um, yeah, it did remind me of this one movie that I think this is random, but it's called Creep. It's a British film. It came out like 2005. It was about this chick gets trapped in a subway station under
Mm.
after hours, like they close down. So, and it's like she had some boyfriend, some it kind of like reminiscent of the boyfriend in this one,
Hmm.
who's kind of, he wasn't a boyfriend, but he was this dude who kept pursuing her. It's kind of he he tries to assault her, and there's like turns out there's like this underground rat man creature that lives there, and he's been kidnapping people, and he takes it's turns out into this whole spiel, but it's like in the end they end up working together to get away from the rat man in a sense, even though he's
Hmm.
been a dick, and it kind of was reminiscent of
Hmm.
the the heroine and her boyfriend's
You
relationship
said
in this film.
Creep? Was there a sequel to that? Because Dylan did a Creep.
Okay, so there's two different creeps.
Okay.
There's the creep in 2005, and then there's the creep one and two that came out like 2012-ish
Yeah.
around there.
Yeah.
Although those are actually, all three of them are actually worth watching. The first one is more of like a monster film, while the other one is like found footage,
Right.
psychological, like
I've heard
really
it's
big.
good. I've heard like really good things about 1 and 2 of Creep, the ones from the 2010s.
Yeah, definitely. I forget his name. I think his name is like Mark Duplass. He's like the main dude, but he's in it. He's worth checking out.
Hmm.
But yeah, man. I don't know. I feel like that after that tangent, but I don't know. I don't just. I feel like there's really not much here. Even
Yeah.
if you're a Nick, like I said, it's worth watching if you're a Nick Frost fan. But even then, like I don't know. I feel like this movie, like you said it perfectly. It's very hollow. There's nothing. I guess they try to add stuff here with like the backstory and shit, but
Yeah.
it really amounts to anything.
There's the
I,
makings of a decent movie. I've seen movies
yeah.
that do things that this movie does, and it does it well. You're
Yes.
learning these little bits of information. You nailed it when you said the actress does a good job, which I think, well, I thought I had her name. I'll look for it in a
I
minute.
don't think I've.
But she does a good job for what she has to work with. There's just
Mhm.
nothing there. They didn't really write her any good lines, and then just her boyfriend sitting there fucking hung up the whole time, just like, oh, let's write him out of it. Okay, let's just knock him unconscious for the whole movie. Like the shit like that just felt really cheap. And like I put in my notes, like I think I was like 40 minutes into the movie or 30 minutes, like just super directionless. Like,
Yeah.
you just don't, and I guess that they're trying to string you along about what Frost's
The actual
intentions
plot.
really are. The plot, they gotta kinda hide that, but I don't know. There wasn't enough there to really there wasn't enough little suspense moments like, "Oh, she almost got away," and just
Yes.
bits like that that were done well. There was a couple, but they weren't enough to, be really entertaining and keep you going.
Now, to its credit, I was gonna say it wasn't a terrible movie. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to, I want to highlight something nice about it. I will say for the setting, it was kind of, it was kind of cool. Like for the most part, took place in the cab and shit.
Mhm.
I'm always wary about checking movies out that take place in like few singular locations because it's like
Mhm.
that's either gonna work really well or it's gonna be really boring. Um, Here, it wasn't done really well, but it worked. I was never like, oh my god, the damn car again. It's the shot
Right.
of the back seat, and so I don't. I feel like it was maybe a first time director, because the twist just wasn't enough. Like, oh,
Mhm.
you cannot you I know, and then I guess with that being said, we don't really have enough answers for the stuff that's set up because it's like I don't know if Nick Frost's character has been going around like I thought he had been going around kind of doing this to people, like. But if you just trying to kidnap one person to make an exchange,
Right.
I was a little lost on
Yeah.
that
Yeah, that's a
detail.
good point. You know what? I hadn't even thought about that till you said that. I feel like at one point during the movie, it's implied that this is a thing that he does. He certainly seemed like he wasn't like he was used to doing it, and he was maybe
Yes,
taking some enjoyment out of doing it. He wasn't just, "Oh, I'm sorry, I've been put in this situation, so I had to kidnap you." He was
yep,
also a kidnapper, which didn't
yes.
really jive. Did the performance kind of remind you? Not nearly as good, nowhere near as good, really, but in the same vein as John Goodman in 10 Cloverfield Lane. Just this
Yeah, yeah.
big
You know what?
guy that's known for being a lovable kind of, actor, but he's like extra
But
scary in
uh,
this.
there's like a little unhingedness to them, like
Yeah.
just waiting under the lid, waiting to pop off. Yeah, because they both I well, Nick Frost, John Goodman, I feel is like a super tall dude on top of being my dog.
Yeah.
Sorry,
It's good.
top of a sturdier dude,
That's
but
a scary sounding fucking bark right there.
he's all bark, no bite. He looks intimidating, but he's a big teddy bear. But no, yeah, Nick Frost, he's got that too, where it's like he's usually known for playing that like lovable, goofy,
Yeah.
but he's got like a I forget what role it was in, or there's like a show I seen him in where he like shaved his head and he was like a brawler or some shit like that. And I
Oh,
was like,
really?
oh, he pulled this off quite well. But he's a goofy dude, but he's this dude who's like got an edge to him,
Yeah. There's something to that too when you have like a comedian or you have someone go against character or against type
Yep.
or whatever you would say. Like it's like, oh God, like there's something uncanny about seeing someone so
Yes.
lovable be creepy.
You're like, oh my, it's what is the word? Like off-putting, I guess. It's
Yeah,
uneasy. Like, oh shit, that's it almost kind of makes you look at their goofier roles like, I don't really trust that guy. I don't know if he
right.
has up his sleeve.
Like
But
what's his name? Well, I guess Drax. Why am I forgetting that dude's name?
oh, Batista, Dave.
Yeah, he does
Yeah.
play I mean, obviously he's a little bit of like a scary dude in some roles, but like in Knock at the Cabin Door,
hmm
like he's extra kind of scary in that, and just like that's off-putting.
Even yeah, because he's so it's like this fact that he's so big, but he's almost like the kindest out of the group,
Yeah,
in that
yeah,
movie, and that's like, oh, that's a little weird.
yeah.
Um, if he snaps,
All right.
man.
Well, dude, I honestly, and this is, I figured this would be the case. When I finished the movie, I'm like, I can review this in fucking 2 sentences. There's just, you know what I mean? There's just not much there. It's a cool idea, but it felt like this could have been an episode of the X Files or something
Yeah,
like that. This could have been not necessarily a short, although that would have been just fine, but like a 45-minute.
45 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's definitely it. There's something solid or entertaining there. The other stuff, it just kind of feels like it's meandering around and like it's filler in a sense.
yeah. Doesn't it seem like he's driving fucking forever? Like,
Yeah,
like
and
there's no passage of time.
no, that's what I'm saying. And I remember the dude told him to drive in the beginning, but then it's like you get on the road. It's like, how long is this goddamn road, my man?
Right.
Before you reach your destination. And I
How
swear,
bi how big is that fucking island? They're in the UK. It's like, "Oh, you would
yeah.
have drove off the edge by now. They've been driving forever."
uh, what? Hold on. There was and then it's like I feel like he brought up to Eileen, his wife thing, quite a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why I feel it was like kind of filler because it's like we never truly learn what any of that is about because it's like at the end, surprise, his wife called him. But I thought like they never really answered it, but I kind of had thought like maybe he snapped and killed his wife, and this was just him kind of going through the motions. But it's like, oh look, it's Eileen calling me.
Right.
Um, and I don't know that it was just like you said, a 45-minute episode of the X Files or a show would have worked
Yeah,
perfect.
something like that. Fit it into a something where it would fit better. Sale saying, "Haven't seen it either, but good to know, not a recommend." I mean, you could spend there's worse ways to spend an hour and a half, but there's also just way better ways. I
Well
wouldn't I
said.
wouldn't rec I would say it's a skip unless you're a diehard Frost fanatic, then it's worth checking out. Other than that, I would say definitely not. But again, I don't know if I went through everybody. What up, Sal, Rogue, Big Harm, you big sexy son of a bitch. Appreciate you guys being here. Let's go ahead, man. Before we get into I saw the TV glow, let's just rate this thing out of 5, and then we'll jump into that film.
All right. Out of 5. I will give this one a generous 2.
Yeah, generous too.
Generous 2, because like I think you said perfectly. You could find worse ways to spend an hour and a half, but you could certainly find so much better.
Right.
This is just kind of it's there. It's filler. It's if you love horror stuff and you've seen everything and you're just kind of looking for something to watch, this is watchable, I guess. But there's I couldn't, like you said earlier, I don't think I would ever recommend this to somebody,
Yeah,
like it's nothing there that gripping to really
yeah.
worth it's not worthwhile,
Yeah,
so
it's definitely it's not worth your while at all, and I'm right there with you. I love the way you put it. This is a very generous too, and a big part of it is just like, oh, cool. It's cool to see Dick Frost because I haven't
yeah,
really seen him in anything other
yeah,
than the stuff he's done with Simon Pegg. But I'll give it the other bit is it did get me. It's a horror movie, and like some of those little jump scares got me. I like when the
true, yeah,
cab pulled up and you could kind of, it's like, oh shit, did I see something in the back seat? Like that
yeah.
was kind of cool how subtle it was. And then she says she saw something. What'd you see? There's nothing back there. That was kind of a cool moment. But yeah, other than that, you do better, Shudder. I was a little suspicious just like because of the release time. That had me wondering, like, well, maybe if it was worth your while, they would have released it in October. But I'm like, well,
Yeah.
maybe they're trying to like get that Halloween hangover, and this is a good time to. A lot of people are still into horror movies, so I think it was the latter. I think they were like, let's just squeeze this one in here.
Yeah. The people will watch it if we put it out. Yeah, I mean, because what did Rapture come out in October? Or any as Azrael?
Azrael,
Azrael, yeah.
yes, yeah, it
Okay.
came out like a week before Halloween or so.
Mm-hmm.
God, I don't know if you can hear my kid now screaming. Yeah, there it is. Alrighty then. She seems upset. But all right, let us go. So a 2 from me and a 2 from you for Black Cab. And it looks like mercifully nobody in the chat bothered seeing it. So it's a wise decision, everybody. Wise decision. And before we go into Black Cab, a quick reminder for what we're doing on Thursday. I mean to open up every show by saying this, but I always forget almost every single show. So Thursday, the fans voted Halloween 3. That's what we're going to be covering on Thursday at 8 o'clock Central Daylight Time. Super excited to have that conversation. I've really just you and Stu are good people to have this talk with. What's that?
Oh no, I was gonna say I'm really excited to see this one, man. I kept hearing about it, but it's like I've been curious about it, but I've put it off just because like there's no Michael Myers.
Right.
But I'm excited now
Yeah.
after knowing more.
It's like I said, dude. It'll be cool to have the non-fanboy perspective. Out of the three of us, I'm the most like fanboy-ish of these franchises. But I don't know. There's not like a. It's kind of hard to be a fanboy of this one because it doesn't have Michael in it. But the thing I'm even more excited about, honestly, no bullshit, next Sunday. Next
Ooh.
Sunday, be here. It's going to be later in the afternoon because I got a photo shoot for my daughter, but it should be
Oh,
like 5 Central Time, 4 Central Time. I'll let you know for sure on Instagram or here. But two of the biggest movies of the year, The Substance, hands down, seems to be the one that is going to be voted most by people. You're going to see it at the top of the most list for film of the year, horror movie of the year. And then from Link's perspective, Strange Darling, for what you've seen, this is your favorite of the year so far, right?
yeah. This one caught me by surprise. I had seen the trailer and I was like, all right, it looks like a movie, but this has like a twist in it that I think I was like, this is like the next evolution of Shyamalan, and it wasn't too crazy, but it was just a nice little flip of the coin.
Right.
Great performances. It was cool. It was really
Hell yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I'm super excited for both of them. The Substance is on. Part of the reason why I was waiting for them to both come out streaming, like
Mhm.
for free, like on Netflix or something like that. But The Substance is streaming for free on, I think it's Mubi, so you can get a free 7-day trial. Go get your free trial, watch it, cancel
Hell
that shit,
yeah.
and then meet us back here next Sunday afternoon. And then Strange Darling, you're gonna have to pay for that one or find it on a pirate site, but you can rent it for like $5 or something like that. So
It's worth it.
go check it out. We have an approval from oh wait, no, what was I seeing? Rogue saying that's a good double feature. Hell yeah, brother. He says still need to watch The Substance, but I've heard really good things on Mubi, brother. And then to answer this real quick, I don't know if you're joking or not. Do you think we need to watch the first 2 Halloweens before this? No, 100% not. No need to at all. It's a complete standalone thing.
Demi Moore kind of reminds me of Courtney Cox in that photo. You
Hmm.
got the thumbnail.
I could see, yeah, I could totally see that, especially now, like in their 50s or whatever they're in
Yeah,
now. That's funny. All right, so let us get into the movie I feel so fucking unprepared and unqualified to talk about. I saw the TV Glow again. This one from 2024, directed by Jane Schoenbrunn, starring Justice Smith and Bridget Lundy Payne, amongst others. Bro, I was like, what the fuck is this movie? This movie's crazy. As we said earlier, if you're just joining us now, I was thinking while I'm watching it, like of Donnie Darko, and then just reading a couple reviews. People were like, oh, the Donnie Darko of Gen Z or Gen B or whatever the fuck Gen is going on right now. Super hard to follow, but very, very artsy. It's like a total art film, barely a horror film. I would say Donnie Darko maybe more of a horror film than this. I was kind of surprised by that. Like you're muted, brother.
Yeah, no, I gotta agree with that. Donnie Darko had some very dark element. This one was trippy, you know.
Yeah.
Some
You
people might,
told me that beforehand, like, oh, it's a trippy one. And there were moments where I was like, whoa. I was like having
yeah.
flashback for a moment. It was very, very trippy.
Now, horror wise, I like it's not too crazy horror, but it kind of, I told you this earlier, but it kind of was reminiscent of like, uh, Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah.
Where it's like eerie. It's got like this eerie tone, more of an eerie
Yeah.
tone to it as opposed to straight up horror. You
But you know
know?
what it reminded me of is, and this kind of a weird comparison, but when I watched Five Nights at Freddy, there's something just like it's aimed at whatever the fuck. What is it? Is Gen Z? Am I saying that right? Whatever like the
Uh,
teenagers are now.
yeah, Gen Z, they're the most current. Yeah, yeah.
I'm not good at that game for whatever reason.
It's
But
it goes,
whoever the fuck these people are, they are depressed. They are
yes,
bummed out. Like Five Nights at Freddy's, like, oh, it's the biggest fucking movie in the world for teens. And then you watch it and it's like, oh, it's so depressing. And then this is like that times 10, but it's beautiful.
yeah.
It's like you can't deny the gorgeousness of it. What's the plot? The plot, we have these two teenagers, one of them both queer, assuming, or they don't really come out, and one of them is definitely a lesbian, and the other one,
I
the
think
whole
it
thing is a
asexual.
trans metaphor.
Yeah,
He appears to be, it's very complicated. He appears to be asexual in the movie, from like what you're
yeah.
getting for the most part. Directed and written by a trans person, non-binary, I believe. Trans, I'm not 100%. I think they call themselves trans, but they go by they them pronouns. So I don't know.
Okay,
I'll go with trans.
okay.
But it definitely appears to be a metaphor for, you're being confused about your identity, or not like being able to find your own identity. But it's also this whole thing where they meet each other through this TV show that they fall in love with, which I feel like it's a Buffy thing. It pretty much is Buffy the Vampire in a way, Vampire Slayer, because Tara, who's one of the queer characters from Buffy, she's in this movie. I didn't see her in the movie, but I read about it. But I was like, oh, that's cool. So it's pretty much, it's this whole thing about like being able to connect with a TV show, find yourself in a TV show and see like a reflection of you that you never necessarily knew you had. Like, oh my God, like I never knew that she's going through that. That's what I'm going through. Now I'm able to
People have,
find myself. And that's why
yeah.
he opens up and sees the TV in himself and or whatever. But it's so, I know most of that from stuff I read and what I read the director saying. And I really would love to sit down and watch this again. But I was definitely not entertained by the movie. It's Donnie Darko
It's
without the shit that is actually entertaining to me, other than a few moments. But I've been rambling. But like, what you've seen it twice now, at least, right?
yeah. I took it as like I mean, I guess you really can look at different ways, but I think the funnest perspective to take is like they are the two girls from
Mm-hmm.
the Pink Opaque world, and this is like an X-Men adventure where the Shadow King has them trapped in their mind or
Yeah, that's
psychic
cool.
construct. You
Which
know that
is Mr. Melancholy.
yes, yeah. Um, and that's I guess that ties into the gender identity
Mm-hmm.
themes with Justice. I forget his name in the movie did, but the actor, he is a girl in the Pink Opaque world, but
Right.
in the real world that he's, I forget his name, damn it. But and it's like the themes throughout the movie, it's like they're trying to break free because they've been trapped by Mr. Melancholy, and they don't have access to their powers, but they both love this show. That's how they bond over it, really. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like the eventually one of the two characters, the girl, she escapes this world, and they in this dream world or the real world, they allude to like her house got caught on fire. She like she
Yeah.
deleted
So do
herself.
you think she dies and that's how she escapes into the pink opaque world?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because that kind of reminded me of like the Matrix,
Yeah.
there because I don't think they ever necessarily said it in the movie, but in the Animatrix, there was a segment where, do you remember the kid from Matrix Reloaded that was really excited to see Neo when he was like, he was really young and he was like, whatever you need, Neo, sir, I'll get that for you.
Oh.
He
I thought
was
you were
he was
talking
a
about the
young
little Asian kid at the bus stop or the train stop. No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
he wasn't a big character, but they had a little segment for him in the Animatrix that showed that like not everybody was unplugged by taking a pill. Some
Mm,
people freed themselves by their mind, and he had to break reality, and he did that by deleting himself. But
mm,
by doing that, he woke up in the real world. So I kind of got themes of that with them when they had shoved their head in the TV in this movie.
hmm.
Um, but I the theme, but yeah, the theme I was talking about was like we see by the end of this movie, like Justice Smith's character has chosen. Is it Justice Smith, the Justice dude? He's chosen not to escape. He did try at one
Right.
point, but he's too scared. And we see like every time we see them age in the real world, like he's deteriorating. Like,
Mm.
the world gets less colorful, it's more bleak. And by the end of the movie, he's like really, it seems like he's about to kill over. Like he's got major health issues.
Yeah, he's like supposed to be like 40, but he looks like he's 80. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
he
he's,
looks
he's
like
alien.
shit.
Yeah. And that's, I feel like that's them tying into like that theme of like people not being them true selves,
Hmm.
like the damage it does to them, like, it
Right.
kills them, like a
Re-
immune.
repressing his true self. He said
Yeah,
something. He says something earlier in the movie, like he's sitting there talking with the girl whose name's now eluding me, and he says something about like basically about his sexuality, where he's like, I look down in that part of me, and there's nothing in there, right? And that's why I read it as like, oh, he's asexual.
right. Yep.
But then at the end of the movie, like we see him, like he cuts himself open, and he sees what's in there, and it's like this beautiful TV. So it's the
Yeah.
reflection of the TV. It's like it's either what he got from the TV, or you could look at it. I don't know. There's like so many ways to look at it. This is like the TV in something from the TV is now put inside of you. You know what I mean? You us being influenced by media in a way, but he was able to find out, oh, that's what's inside me, or I don't know. There's
Yeah,
a
I
lot
was
going
looking
on.
at like that with that scene in the bathroom where he's like, I thought was looking at one in particular where he's like, he still has time, like his inner self, his glow, his true self is still in there, like it hasn't been
Mm,
completely diminished or wiped away. Like he's still got time to find himself.
right.
It's
And then
that
we don't know what he does right after that. The movie
because
ends.
the movie,
So he
yeah,
kind of like finds himself in a way, and then he still seems pretty fucking distraught. And then
yeah,
he's headed out, he's leaving work, and we don't know what. So we're kind of left to wonder what is he going to do with this. And we're told that he's I have a family. He looks at the camera and he talks to us, which is also weird. And he tells us, I have a family and I love them more than anything. And it's like, do you? With the way that you said that, and we never see them.
yeah,
So it's like we know that he's probably, if he's asexual or he's maybe gay or he's maybe trans or whatever, the idea is that he never really wanted that family, that normal, typical, family.
that
And
yeah,
that
that
he
ties into the
formed
whole
it
the
inside his
mask.
true self.
Yeah, yeah. This movie, it's got a lot of themes. Like the whole, I think, the mask thing, you'd be applied to damn near anybody, and not just, when it comes to like sexuality and stuff like
All
that.
this stuff, even like the not like a teenager not knowing their identity, is 100% of all teenagers go through that.
Yep,
So
yep,
it's definitely a thing that even if you're not in that exact situation, you could totally relate to it. Like fuck, when we're
yeah,
talking about Buffy, like
yeah,
Willow's situation. I've never been a lesbian, but that hits super hard. We all get that. We all get not fitting in or not
yeah.
feeling like we're ourselves or whatever.
That speaking of the Buffy stuff, let's talk about the editing. Like that's one thing I really did. Like the visuals of this movie, like the editing, like when he's like walking down the hall at the beginning of the movie, and it's like laying out the episode titles and the synopsises on the screen, and like marker
Mhm.
sharpening, they're pink. It was very cool.
Yeah.
Definitely gave me vibes of like early '90s shows that were on Nick, like maybe Clarissa Explains It All or stuff like that. Pete and Pete.
They're in this movie. Pete and
What?
Pete. I think that's I never saw them, but I'm pretty sure I think that's the ones that I heard were in this movie are Pete and Pete.
Pete?
Tara from Buffy and Fred Durst is Owen's dad.
No
Yeah,
way.
fucking Fred
No.
Durst. Yeah. And he's great. I don't think he says like barely anything. He's got the one line where he's like, "Isn't that show for girls or whatever?" But he's just like looks like a dickhead, kind of like what we were talking about with Nick Frost and Black Cab. Yeah, this like you put this guy. That's Fred Durst. Is his dad? Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Shout
I
out
wonder,
Fred Durst.
has he been in anything else that you know of? I've never known him to be like, but he was good. Not that he does a lot, but he was pretty
I
good
know
in this.
he did a movie it might be like I want to say it was a few years ago, but it could have been about a decade ago, but it had Jesse Eisenberg in it.
Hmm.
I remember I seen it and I was like, oh shit, that's a solid, from Fred Durst, Limp
Yeah.
Bizkit. Like I didn't know he had that in him.
Yeah.
I don't remember necessarily the plot exactly. That's why I feel like it could have been like a decade ago. But I remember being somewhat impressed by it, as a
That's
directorial
cool.
debut.
I wanted to say something before I forget that I'm looking at now. I heard this, the pink opaque. So even like
Yes,
what that means is like it's like the pink that we can't see through. It's the pink is our flesh. I didn't put this together at all,
me
but it's
neither.
like we can't. It's like inside we're all pink, and it's the inside of us that nobody sees. So I thought that was like that's a fucking cool ass metaphor.
Yeah,
I mean,
no, that's deep.
as we're talking about it, I have almost nothing negative. Everything I'm saying is positive, but like, and we'll rate it in a little bit. But like, I wasn't entertained by the movie, and like, there's these long, drawn out, slow scenes, and it's made like these just two characters that are, I don't know, are they like on the spectrum or something, or are they just so like fucked up from the TV or I don't know what's going on, but they really struggle to communicate. And like, did you find yourself wanting to shake them, like just fucking say it, like get your shit out? It
Yeah,
like frustrates you, and it's like that's where the horror comes from. Is that like tension inside of you? Like spit it out, like say what you need to
there's a
say.
lot of like in between the lines stuff where you're like, well, they'll be talking to each other, and you're just like, why are you guys it's being so vague, with the responses?
Yeah,
Just to like you said, get it out. But I was reading up on the director, and I remember they said that they wanted because they made this movie when they were going through their transition
yeah,
period.
yeah,
They wrote this, or didn't make, they wrote the script for it, but they wanted this movie they weren't worried so much about the dialogue or anything. They wanted this movie to be more hit emotionally, like make you,
yeah.
and I think it does its job in that aspect because it's like you said, it's not a horror. It is kind of slow, but there's something very interesting here, and there's themes, like you said, with the terrorist stuff and Buffy. Like you don't have to be that exact situation to
Mhm.
understand that situation. And I think there's a lot of like thematics with this movie where it's like you feel what these characters are going through. They might not
Totally.
necessarily execute the dialogue well, but I think you really do feel their positions or how they're feel the anxiety the justice character
That
feels and stuff
yeah,
like
you feel how like I want to say lack of confidence, but it's like
that. Yes.
both their confidences have been crushed by their parents and shit. But like
Yep. Yep.
you feel that, like it makes you feel fucking awkward inside. But there's also these moments, specifically like when Maddie goes back, like when she comes back from being in the TV show, and she's explaining this to Owen, and she's looking at the camera and she's going on and on. The music is
Are you talking about when they're in like the projector room or some
yeah,
shit?
and it's
Yeah.
like it is fucking like honestly, I was like, whoa, like I'm fucking this is like doing this psychedelic drug. Like it made me, I don't know, it started to fucking twist my brain around in the back of my skull. But then it just goes on and
Yeah.
on and on and on. And in that specific moment, like I'm sitting there super impressed by it. I'm taking notes, being like, wow, like this bit is crazy or saying something. And then I fell asleep. And then I woke up and she's still talking. I'm like, holy fuck. I asked my wife, what's going on? And she's like, I don't know. Like, so and I did rewind it and check it out, but I don't know. I feel like if you are not that you need to be in Owen or the girl's situation to appreciate the movie, but
Right.
like imagine if you are you're someone that is doesn't know that that is in their future, that they're going to transition, you have gender dysphoria, whatever the fuck it is, and you watch this movie and like something clicks with you way
Yeah.
more than it would click with me, and like as the movie unfolds you would like get it like on this level like that. Would I could see this movie like 100%. This is going to be like a certain people's favorite fucking movie of all time. Like
Yeah.
it's going to connect like crazy with some people, but I wouldn't recommend it to the majority of people. I think I don't know, because
I
part of me
this is
really had a
a
bad time with the movie, but part of me really respects the movie and thinks it was done well. But I didn't like necessarily enjoy it.
I and this is I think it could be just looked at as like a artsy indie film where it's like I said, these are just two characters. This is like a very indie X-Men tale,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like these characters are literally superheroes but we're not seeing the exciting half of that story. We're seeing
Yeah.
them in the boring real world and them trying to fight their way out of that. So it could be looked at as like but there's a like you said, there's a movie with a lot of like themes. It's a lot of symbolism, and that might not click with everybody. But I think and you know what, I don't think it will click with everybody. But I think if people give it a chance, that there's if it's what I liked about it is actually is like it's very thematic and it's not preachy, but it's preaching but it's not heavy handed in
Yeah,
its
it's like I said before, you almost have to be really open to you have to know what the fuck they're talking about. You have to
right,
read between the lines in a lot of ways, but it's also like it's there. You see this guy, and then when he goes into this world, he's wearing a pink dress all of a sudden, but it's never mentioned. They don't
right,
comment on it a lot. It's not like explicitly talking about gender identity, but it's also not hiding the fact that that's what it's talking about either. If you
yes,
know, you fucking know,
yeah,
like pretty much. Um, Rogue saying my wife saw it and thought the same thing pretty much. She said it didn't feel like a horror movie. Yeah, 100% there. And it felt like a movie not made for her exactly, which
right,
isn't a bad thing. I agree with all that 100%. Wasn't aimed at me, but I can still appreciate like there's coming of age stories like Stand By Me or something like that.
yes, classic,
That isn't aimed specifically at the people that are coming of age. It's almost aimed more at adults.
adults,
But
yeah,
that's what's interesting. This is it's a thing. It's a movie full of 90s nostalgia, but definitely not aimed at
aimed at
someone that was there in the 90s. Same with Stranger
yes,
Things though. Like but
true, yeah,
Stranger Things is
yeah,
follows that walks that line more of who it's
yeah.
aimed at.
Yeah, yeah. That Stranger Things is definitely it's more universal. I get yeah. This one was definitely I don't know. This is a weird one because that now that you said that, I was like that is such a. I mean, it's just I don't want to say it's an odd style choice because I actually appreciate it, but it's like the whole '90s aesthetic,
Mm-hmm.
but it's aimed at the kids of today.
Yeah.
Like
Which the 90s are in today though.
true. That is very true.
The
Yeah.
90s are the new 60s, and that weirds me out. Because when I was a kid, I went to a very hippie high school. Like we
Oh,
had a
did you
lot of
really?
like jam. I don't. It's one thing I noticed later. I'm like, oh yeah, we're a very crunchy town. A lot of potheads, a lot of jam bands, and like just a lot of tie dyes and widespread panic. Humphreys, McGee, Mo, fucking Grateful Dead lovers that I went to high school with. Where was I going with that? I have no idea where I was going with that.
Yeah. I one day I want to tell it. Well, when skinny jeans come back in style, I'm gonna be like, I was there when they didn't even make skinny
Uh,
jeans.
uh,
We used to wear jeans, until they started making skinny jeans.
so you're telling me skinny jeans are out, and I just bought all new skinny jeans? Son of a bitch.
Yeah, baggy's back in, bro. Baggy's back in. So get out those skater pants from the '90s, dog.
Yeah, hell yeah. Get my fucking boss shorts on and my fucking all right. I did want to mention before we rate this thing, and I don't know, there's certain ways that there's this whole bit, right, where Maddie is at one point in the movie convincing Owen basically to kill himself.
hmm
You aren't your true identity isn't being represented. You haven't found yourself. You
Right.
need to kill yourself to find yourself. I struggle with that message, especially knowing how the suicide rates among transitioning teens and you know what I mean. There's this whole fucking. It's a really really complicated, messy situation there, and also just while I'm thinking of it, just the way that this topic has been treated in horror past. We were just talking about, you know, Silence of the Lambs and Buffalo Bill and Dress to Kill, Psycho. There's this long history of people, Sleepaway Camp, people being denied their identity, repressing it, and then they become killers. You know what I mean? So that's a messy history that the genre has with this topic. And then this is like the opposite of that in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But like the suicide bit is the shit that it's like, maybe I don't fully understand it enough, but I don't
Well,
love it, you know?
no, I definitely don't love it. But I think they were trying to show like the two sides of that struggle when for transitioning people is like they either suffocate themselves to the point where it's like they're just miserable living, just going, and
And
that's the
that's why
Jessica
he can't
character.
breathe. That's why he can't breathe. Yeah, that's a great way.
Or and then with Maddie, it was just like I think they were trying to show the extremes of like what it's like when they can't be them true selves, they feel like they shouldn't, I'm not meant for this world then, like if I can't be accepted for who I am, like I'm not supposed to be here. That's never the option, but that I
Right,
think they're trying to explain that these are the extremes that people go through when
right,
dealing with, the transitioning stuff.
right.
Um but no, yeah, that's always a heavy subject, that but I was just kind of looking at it from a side. I was trying to look at it more positive, like the whole Matrix thing. Like I said, it was like that's how
Mhm.
they escape the dream world. You got to
Right,
free.
right.
But this it's already a heavy movie dealing with some really heavy real themes. So I don't think they're trying to make light of it, but I think they're just trying to show like that when you don't allow people to be them true selves, like these are some of the negative outcomes that happen from that.
Right.
Like either like we were saying, justice is deteriorating in front of everybody. He's living a miserable life, or then there's the extreme where people feel like I clearly am not meant for here. Which is that's their head messing with them. That's never the
Right,
option.
right.
That's
But
they
I
feel like
mean,
they
it's never the right option, but sadly, it is the other
the
option.
option.
That's
Yeah,
what fucking people do, man. I've heard this is just like a fucked up metaphor that I heard someone say one time that not necessarily ties to, I guess it could tie to what we're talking about. But I heard someone talking about like the thoughts of suicide. Like imagine being in a sauna and like you're stuck in there and can't get out. And it's just like it's getting worse and worse and more uncomfortable. And I gotta get the fuck out of the sauna. Like that's just
yeah.
like that's always stuck with me. Like, oh, that kind of
No,
puts
yeah,
into perspective
that's
of the dilemma.
yeah.
But all right, let us. I feel like there was one more thing I want to touch on before we get about this bitch. Oh, the other thing
Same.
was just the memory. Like part of this is, it's like this dreamlike thing. They're dealing with memory and nostalgia. And I really like the bit where we see the TV show at the beginning of the movie. We see what it looks like. And then when he rewatches it again as an adult, and it's corny and it's not nearly as scary, and it's just like it's so much cheaper. And it's like we've all done that. We've
Yeah.
all went back and visited something and been like,
It's
what?
not magical.
Yeah, or even just like go to somewhere that you grew up, like your childhood home or whatever, and look at it. It's like that is not your memory is not accurate. Science knows that pretty well. We make a lot of shit up, but that was a
You
cool
know
bit.
what? Playing video games had me realize that. I was like, bro, we update our memories,
Yeah,
like
you
we
put
give
better graphics in these
yeah,
old games in your head.
yeah.
Yeah,
We literally do that. Like, because I was like, I remember this being so much more epic, or I remember this being so much more vivid. And it's just like it's like we're giving our memories a remaster, making it work
Mm.
better for us.
That's so fucking true. We do. We edit our memories. We put ourselves in better positions in our mind, and we make TV shows cooler. We make our ex-girlfriends hotter, probably, or uglier, or whatever benefits us. Chill saying we here at Blood Splatter Chatter are not capital letters, not advocating to kill yourself. Just a
Absolutely.
metaphor. Let's get that out there. Still got my N64 memory card. This is chill. You got anything you want to add to this before we go ahead and rate this bad boy, brother?
Um, Yo, no, yeah, this is not it's it's an interesting film. Not really a horror, but I could see why there's some people would kind of view this as it's like a what am I trying to say? it's I can see how some people find this to be extremely horrific because they can relate to, a certain people will definitely find this to be able to put themselves in that situation, and that's
Right.
horrific for them to
It's gonna
the anxiety.
give you like some kind of physical response that isn't quite horror. It's gonna make you super uneasy
Yes,
in
yes,
moments, and it's also, like I said, it's gonna psychedelically twist your fucking brain apart at certain
very
moments. Yeah, there's
dreamy.
something about it, the sound and the look and the fucking words. It is very, very trippy at moments. You know the moment where it's showing like young Owen, and it's like that. It's like a parachute behind
Yeah,
them or whatever. It's like that is fucking crazy looking. Like the visuals in this movie are like top. I've never seen a movie like this, so I
yeah.
definitely like when rating, and I had to put that into account. But I also like was dying for the movie to get over from like 25 minutes into it. To be honest with you, like I was like, dude, this thing needs to end. Like it was hard to really focus on it because it was so slow and like nothing was happening. Like the first
Yeah.
20 minutes of the movie, it's just awkward teen meets awkward teen. Teen goes to teen's house, they watch show
Watch a show.
awkwardly. And then it's like 2 years later. It's like, what? Hold on, what happened? Hold on. I remember pausing and being like, what the fuck just happened? That's the setup of your movie. Like, and I guess it is. That's the whole setup about two teens meeting, connecting over a TV show together. But it's just like there wasn't a lot in that for me to be like invested in a way. But the
I feel
performances
that.
were amazing. Like
Yeah.
that fucking kid, Owen, yeah, Justice Smith, it's like they found the kid and they just here we're filming you. Say this. It's not like it was a performer. It really was like they found this kid. But let's go ahead and rate it, man.
All right. Yeah, this is an interesting one, man. It's not, it's hard to, this is a hard one to grade for me,
It
to be
really
honest
is,
with you.
man. Because I
Like I
at one
respect.
point I said to my wife, I'm like, I said the movie sucks. She's like, oh, it doesn't suck. I'm like, no, it doesn't suck. It's awesome, but I don't like it. That's why it's that's why it's hard to grade. But sorry.
No, no, and it's not scary, It's a really, I think the general audience, most people universally would probably see this and kind of see it as like a mind fuck,
Yeah.
and not necessarily find anything too scary about it. There was eeriness to it. So, and and then this was a lot of people were billing this as a horror movie. So that's the only reason I'm bringing this up. This is,
Mhm.
when I don't really see it as like in the vein of horror, but visually fantastic. I really like that. I really respect when a movie can be preachy but not heavy-handed in it.
Yeah.
Like, like you were saying, if you're there, if you're hip on to the game, like you can pick up what they're saying, but
Mhm.
if it not, it's not just throwing it in your face like, hey, you need to understand this is what the movie is about. But it's
Right.
there, you can recognize it. So I really respect that. Love the performances. Visually it was great. Man, I really dug the nostalgia shit, man. Like, the second viewing definitely improved it for me.
Yeah, I bet, dude. This cries out for that second viewing.
Yeah, I was like a 3.5 my first viewing. Fuck it, I'll give it a 4.
I love it. Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 4. There's something about this movie I really like. Um, it's different, and I don't think that's gonna be for everybody, but I did like with what they're experimenting with, like the emotional tones and just visuals. I know it's different. It was different, and this is a different that happened to work for me. But that
Right.
first, man, I'm not gonna hold you up. This is definitely a movie where it's like the first movie, like first watch, you're like, what the fuck just happened? And the second time, you can definitely kind of like, okay, you can appreciate more of the nuances and certain
I think
subtle.
even like I watched like a video or like a explained video on it. I think it's one that's gonna help a second viewing for me.
Yes,
I
yeah,
kind of needed that to like I would like to go through it again because there's so much of it where you're like, what the fuck? But it's also one that's, and I don't always like this, it's so heavy on metaphor. It's like there's
yeah,
not much there plot wise that's really happening. It's all metaphor, it's all theme, it's all
yeah,
symbolism and style. It's not
yeah.
style
Stop.
over substance because there's a lot of substance too, but you don't. It's hard to pick that apart. But a 4 from you, man. I would say I would probably rate it higher on my second viewing. But going off the
Understandable.
first viewing, I was around like I could have given it anywhere between like a 2.5 and a 4. You know what I
And
mean?
yeah,
It's one of the
yeah.
more tricky ones to grade because it's like they did a really good job, but I fell asleep 3 times. Like that matters. That fucking matters. And my wife, who does it, she wasn't smoking weed. She doesn't smoke. You know what I mean? She fell asleep, and she rarely does that. So it put us both down. But I'm gonna give it a 3.25. And I
Okay.
don't even know how I feel about that. If for certain people, it's must fucking watch. But other people, it's like steer clear. So whatever you want to do with that. I did want to mention, and I want to check this movie out. We should look into it. Uh, this is part of a planned trilogy where it's just a thematic trilogy. It's one of those. She did one a couple years ago, or they did one a couple years ago called "We're All Going to the States Fair," which I think that's on Max too. I've seen like it's got these technicolored neon bright like images. It's a really similar thing.
Okay.
I guess supposedly from if you watch it for 5 minutes, you're like, oh, duh, it's the same director. Like you can tell
You pick
immediately,
up.
but it's also labeled as like horror fantasy type of deal. And then there's also even talks of, and I don't know if this was part of the planned trilogy, but a sequel to this movie. So I don't know if that would have Owen come back or what the fuck they would do. But supposedly she or they say like they have an idea and that they're looking into doing it within the next few years, doing a sequel, which I would definitely check out.
Yeah, I would definitely be down to revisit this world. Not gonna lie, the ending, I didn't hate it, but I was a little mad we didn't get any resolution with Justice's
Yeah,
character. You know,
yeah,
like
bro. I said like he starts to sorry about before, and then like the screen did something like if the credits were about to roll. I don't know. There was something that made me thinking it wasn't about to end, and I said to my wife, I was like, "Oh shit, I thought it was about to end," and she's like,
yeah.
she goes, "No, no, no, no," and then it ends, and we go, "Fuck, whoa!" Like it's very
Oh,
abrupt. Like you do, and also, what happened to Maddie? What happened to Maddie? We never see
she
her again. He leaves her. He tries to get the way I read it. She tries
football
to
field.
get him to kill himself, and then he like knocks her over in the football field, runs away, and we never see her again. That's fucking super weird too. I guess that's why
Yeah.
people want a sequel. Like, what's going on with Maddie?
Well, that is a good point, but I just was like, we're like, she just said fuck him. I tried and was like, I'm going back to the, but no, because even within the logic of the show, he's still in that sack or whatever. That the melancholy dudes, Mr. Melancholy, still has his heart, so he's
He looked
still. I don't
crazy,
know.
by the way. Mr. Mel. There was bits where it was like very psychedelic, the way it was
Yeah.
like the visuals of it. It's like, yes, that's they kind of got it, just like Midsummer, where
Yes.
they have these little like visual, like psychedelic visuals that are closer to actual psychedelic visuals than almost everything you see on a movie.
Yeah.
Jill's saying if a movie is better than Thor: The Dark World, it doesn't suck. I think I agree. Nice scores. I will be checking these movies out tonight. You could skip Black Cab, brother. I would skip Black Cab.
Yeah. You're not.
Go
I mean, if you just want something to watch, throw it on. You like Nick Frost, but yeah, you've seen it
no
before.
chill. I tell you what, go watch Daddy's Head, and you just tell us if we need to review it. If you that way, or at least if you're gonna waste your time, maybe that's not a waste of time. All right, let us before we wrap this bad boy up again Thursday. Super excited. Stu will be back here along with Missing Link and myself to discuss Halloween 3 from 1982. I believe this is the one without Michael Myers, the Tom Adkins one.
This
So
was 1982.
yeah, I'm pretty
So
sure
they pumped this.
either that or 81, but I think Halloween 2 was 81 and this was 82. Yeah.
So when did they start taking my bad? I know this is I'm
No,
going off.
you're right.
When did they start taking breaks with the Hollow? Because I didn't realize they were pumping them out like almost
After
annually.
after this, they
Okay.
well they did the first one in 78 and then it wasn't until Friday the 13th came out. They're like, "Okay, everybody's doing these. We got to do a fucking sequel. That's what a slasher is. Let's do it." So then they did 2 and then they did 3 and that kind of killed the franchise until the return of Michael Myers in
Okay.
1988. So very excited for that one. Again, this one scored by John Carpenter. It's just
Oh,
fucking badass, like kind of sci-fi score at times. There's a lot of cool things about it. And
I'm
hopefully
excited.
this can be the watch for me that like I get on board with the people that say that this is like amazing. I'm really hoping that, you know, you never know with me. But then even more excited next Sunday, let's call it 4:30 Central Daylight Time. Strange Darling and The Substance, two
Okay.
of the biggest horror movies of the year. The Substance, fucking everybody's talking about. Just like the movie to watch. Get on Mubi. You can get a free 7-day trial, and it's streaming on Mubi for free. And then just throw it out there. The following week on Thursday, assuming Alien Romulus drops in time, this will be our Thursday night double feature. A Quiet Place Day 1 and Alien Romulus. That very excited for that conversation. And tomorrow night, go check out. I know Stu's going to be there, Fable's going to be there, and Robbie will be there with the crew for the Back to the Future, the beginning of the trilogy. They're going to go consecutive weeks doing Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3, giving them all their separate shows, which I kind of love that.
Understandable. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And yeah, and that is it, man. Next Thursday, be here or be square. Halloween 3, baby. So you guys in the chat, really appreciate you hanging out with us. Chill, Ro, you sexy sons of bitches. Sal, Big, Herm, you big sexy bastard. Appreciate you guys. And again, we'll see you on Thursday.